Guys, I've made a lot of mistakes and I regret very many things that I have bought. Damn it, it came out of the... So in this video, I'm going over a lot of those things that I regret buying. Some of them I bought before I was into minimalism over this past year and a half that I really changed a lot of my habits. But a couple of them were after that. I'd like to say it stopped, but I'm kind of stupid. So I hope you guys enjoy me embarrassing myself and showing you how dumb I am. I don't want to make this video. All right, every laptop I've ever bought. This is the first laptop I got. It was probably like 16. It's a Lenovo. It worked for like a year and then it died. It was cheap, which is why I got it. And it was cheap, so that's why it died. And then my wife needed a laptop for work, but she only did some writing and stuff like that, so she didn't need anything too beefy, so I got her a Chromebook. And within about 6 months, that pretty much stopped working, got really slow, so that was a complete waste as well. And after my MacBook Air died, I got a MacBook Pro, which I should have just got with more like storage and stuff, because usually when I edit a video, I run out of storage, so now I'm like using an external hard drive, and it would just be better if I got a nice machine. So just narrowing everything down to just kind of like less, but better. Why? So I got these shoes, I think 2 years ago for about like $5 or $10. And for some reason, I have still not decluttered them, though I'm about to. They're going into the recycling. Not the recycling. They're getting donated right now. But it's been shoes and clothes and just different things that I buy them when they're on sale. I'm like, oh, I'll need shoes again next year, so I'll get this pair ahead of time to save money. And then when it comes around and I actually get to the point where I'm wearing them, I realize that I don't actually like them. And when I actually need something, I can actually take the few minutes and go out and get it or order it or whatever. So I've actually tried to wear those shoes twice now. And both times I was just like, they're really uncomfortable, cheap shoes that I don't like. And I used to do that with shirts where I'd buy stuff for, oh, I'll buy it for next season to try to save money. But then I realized I don't actually like it. And that's just kind of how I like it. One pair of really good shoes that I'm gonna wear for the next year instead of trying to like Mickey Mouse my way through with a bunch of cheap ones that don't actually fit. I've definitely spent probably in the last 10 years like a couple $100s on shirts that I've never worn because they were on sale, they were whatever, I liked them, and then they just didn't fit great. So anyways, I've made that mistake a lot of times on clothes. Online courses / scam thing. I just feel stupid for this one. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a real estate agent. And as a real estate agent, everybody and their dog is trying to sell you some type of course. They're trying to sell you leads. And at one point, I got roped into one of those things and I spent a couple $1,000 on like a lead thing where they guarantee you this many leads and they build you a website and they manage your social medias and all this stuff. And I never got anything out of it whatsoever. Like you got like fake leads, but whatever. And really the lesson that I learned from that was like, don't try to take the easy way out. Sometimes when we have a problem, we try to throw money at that problem. Maybe if you're out of shape, you throw a couple $1,000s at a Peloton or whatever those ad things for the bike, whatchamacallits are. Or you spend money on a gym membership or a diet thing. Instead of doing the basic thing, which is eat less and exercise. And I did the same thing with my real estate where instead of like actually going out and talking to people and knocking on doors and like basic things that are free, I tried to throw money at the problem and I learned from that expensive mistake. My lens. So for those of you who don't know, I shoot everything, like 90% of the stuff I've shot since I got this camera has been on a 50mm lens, which is not all that expensive. It's a 1.8. I really like it. So this isn't the one I regret, it's another one. So I originally only had this one, which I actually really like because it limits your amount of options that you have available. You can't change like anything about it, so you have to make it work. All my B-roll, all my A-roll, everything is shot at 50mm, which makes it so simple because you don't have to think, do you zoom in, do you zoom out, do you get closer, do you get further away? It's like, what's gonna work with this? But like last year I wanted to get into more of the vlog style, so I bought a cheap kit lens. It was like 160 bucks or something like that. I never used it because it was an absolute piece of garbage. But I was trying to save money, but instead of that, it actually cost me more money because I had to sell that because it was a piece of garbage. And now I got this one, which is a lot better. But just getting one thing, again, that's really good quality, instead of like just junk that you know is not gonna work, but you're trying to do it anyways. Yeah, I don't know. I'm dumb. Books. So at one point last year, after becoming a minimalist, I got this idea in my head that I was gonna read like 20 books. So I went on and I ordered all these books that I was gonna read, and over the next 6 months I was gonna read a book a week, and it was this whole plan. That didn't happen. Instead, I had all those books and I read half of one of them, and that's all I've read. So I have since decided I don't actually have enough interest in any of those books to read them, so I have donated them or sold them. And I've kind of gone a little bit of a different approach. While I am getting into more physical books, which I really enjoy, I'm trying to wait till I'm like on the last chapter of the book that I'm currently reading before I buy the next book, and then I'm making sure it's a book that I 100% want to read. And then also, once I'm done with the book I just read, I'm just donating it or selling it like right away. I don't like having them around. I have like 2 books that I actually hang on to and read multiple times. The rest I'm just getting rid of like immediately after I read them. I've done this a couple other times with like hobbies or things that I get into where I'm like, this is gonna be great. I'll buy everything for the next 6 months so I don't have to worry about it. Like, this is gonna be awesome. But it turns out you don't need to buy all that stuff ahead of time, and I've kind of, learned that lesson the hard way now. But like for most stuff, it's just as easy just to buy things as you actually need them instead of buying them for the next 6 months or the next year, because you're trying to save money, but it actually ends up costing a lot more money. It's just, I don't know, it was kind of dumb. Hope this is fun for you guys, because this is like embarrassing for me. I'm just like, what are the worst decisions I've ever made? Let's make a video about it. It'll be awesome. Okay. My Mustang. About 5 years ago, I bought a Mustang. I was 20. I already had a Honda Civic, which was a great, reliable car. It was cheap. I paid cash for it. Gets me from A to B, really fuel efficient, great car. So it was totally unnecessary to have 2 cars for like no reason at all. It didn't make any sense. I did end up selling it like a year later for like $1,000 less than I paid for it. Plus I had the registration and all that stuff that goes along with it. So it was a couple $1,000 mistake. It was like fun to drive for a year. It looked cool and stuff, but I also realized that I was getting a lot of validation and self-worth tied into this car, where when you go into a parking lot or you're sitting at a light, people are pointing, they're looking, they're like beeping, like you get a lot of attention when you have a really nice car. It's weird. But I realized that I was getting like some of my self-worth from this car. Like when I drove my Civic, I didn't get all this attention, and so I always wanted to drive this other one. But it was actually me getting attached to a thing and getting used by this thing instead of having a thing be something that I just use. Like my possessions were owning me instead of the other way around. And I was getting a lot of validation from having that thing, not just from being me. And I don't really want to have that in my life. I don't want to be defined by my stuff. So I'm really glad I got rid of that. It wasn't all that expensive of a mistake. And I think it's really helped me a lot in the future, not ever buy cars or houses or clothes or anything for anybody else. It's just gonna be what's best for me. And it doesn't really matter what people think of you. And I don't really need to impress anybody. Online phone games. So when I was like 16, I was really into this game called The Hobbit. It's like one of those things where you create a world and you build your cities and like all that type of stuff. And over the course of that year, I really got addicted to it. I was playing it all the time, in the morning, at night. I had like timers set for stuff so that I can recharge things. It was this whole thing, and I was like one of the top people in this little world. I was totally addicted to it, and I ended up spending hundreds of dollars, probably like $500 on this stupid game, like buying, I forget what you buy, but you buy stuff in it. So now, because I know that I have that addictive personality, I'm not allowed to have any games on my phone anymore. It's just something that I can't do because I know that I have a weakness for those type of things. I'm a wicked competitive person, so I try to be the best at everything, especially games. And I think I've really learned a good lesson that, they rope you in for free, and then it's just an initial, $1.99 for this, and then it's just, it's just $10.99 for this, and it keeps going up and up. And then once you already have some sunk cost into it, it changes your mindset, and it's just a really addictive thing. So just being cautious of anything like that where it's a pay-to-play type deal. I don't know, it's just a big waste of money. So when I was 18, I think, I don't know, somewhere around there, I spent $1,000 on this. It's 1,000,000 Iraqi dinar. This was my first investment that somebody told me about, and it was like this whole idea that it's cheap right now and the value is going to go up, and it was like this whole story behind it. So not only did you pay the $1,000 for it, but you also had like fees attached to it, so it was like $1,100 or something like that. And now this is worth like $600 or $700, so it's lost a lot of value. Yeah, it was just really just trying to get like a get rich quick scheme type deal. It was the first one I'd really seen. I just totally went for it. But I think it definitely was a good lesson that I should really just stick with investing with things that I really understand. That's why I'm so passionate about real estate investing, and that's really what I focus almost all of my money on, is investing in something that I really understand, and also like doing research for that stuff. Like if I had spent maybe 10 minutes researching this, I might have known how risky it was. But I didn't do anything. I just took one person's word for it. So I think it's definitely a good lesson for me to make sure that I really do my own research. Every time you get a tip from somewhere, or you just have something that you think has a big upside, it's probably got a big risk factor as well. And if you just really stick with investing things that you really understand, I think it's gonna be a much safer investment in general. And if you don't understand it, then just if I had put this money into, you know, the S&P 500 or something like that, it would have grown a lot instead of shrinking, you know, by 30% or whatever it shrunk by. So it definitely was a good lesson, but I still wished I hadn't learned it. Let me know what mistakes you guys have made so that I know I'm not alone in my terrible decision making. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to drop a like, also subscribe. I have some really cool big projects coming up in the next couple weeks. Can't tell you yet, but big personal stuff that's going on, and then also channel-wise. So very exciting stuff coming up. I can't wait to, you know, discuss it with you guys. So see ya.